Hello my fellow paint monsters, how are you doing today? I'm Aga and this is Hungry for Paint, a channel about handmade watercolor paints. Today I'd like to show you watercolors from Kwarts Creations from England. I've got quite a large collection to show you, thanks to Katie who agreed to make a custom order for me. So she made and sold me some of her watercolors in sample sizes as dot cards. So thanks to that I was able to try quite a lot of colors for you. And I think it's going to be very interesting for you, not only because there's a lot of colors, but also because many of them are mineral, gemstone and semi-precious stone paints. So there are going to be quite a lot of pretty unusual ones here. And before we start, I must tell you that I really love the packaging. Very pretty. Those little labels, very elegant. And the colors themselves don't disappoint either. So on the first page, some of the more unusual ones would be celadonite, green opal, fuchsite, Mayan earth violet, peach agate, dragon's blood, Icelandic green and jade. Well, that makes nearly all of them. But a lot of these are either mineral or semi-precious, and because of that a lot of them are pretty gritty. They have a texture that you can actually feel, like celadonite, green opal, fuchsite, dragon's blood, Icelandic green and jade only to a slight degree. Peach agate is also quite unique because it feels the pigment is incredibly finely ground, so it feels not exactly chalky, but it has a distinct feel to it. And peach agate is the only color out of all the ones I got from Katie that might actually rub off to the degree where it's visible on the page on which you painted. With the colors with heavier grain like celadonite, green opal, fuchsite or dragon's blood, single particles might fall off the page, but the body of the pigment stays unaffected. So it's probably not going to be visible at all in your artwork. And fuchsite is slightly shimmery. It's a sort of a natural shimmer that the stone fuchsite has. Also, the pigments that are mineral or semi-precious stones don't flow in the water as well as traditional watercolors. It's not a downside, it's just a feature, it's how they work. So it's something that's worth knowing. Personally, I like it, I don't mind it at all, but whether it's going to be fine with you or not depends on your personal preference. On page 1, the colors that might transfer and stain the neighboring page in your sketchbook if you're working in one are dragon's blood, Indian yellow hue and peach agate, but it's so light that it might not be very visible. But these are the ones that might, to a limited degree, transfer. Some of these colors, as you can see yourself, are not perfect for layering or glazing, like fuchsite and to a degree Icelandic green, as consecutive layers tend to blend into each other even if you wait for each layer to dry before you apply the next. And this makes layering especially difficult with fuchsite, which is also a light color, so layering is going to be naturally difficult. And peach agate as well is not very good for layering. When you pile up too much of it, it's actually going to create a physical texture, and so is fuchsite. On the other hand, colors like celadonite, green opal, Mayan earth violet, dragon's blood, jade, despite the fact that it's so light, Indian yellow hue and yellow ochre all work perfectly fine with layering, so no need to worry about these. On to page 2. Here we've got two shimmery duochromes. Persia and Pandora are sort of chameleon colors. Depending on the angle from which you're looking at them, the color is going to appear different. So they're quite interesting and they're shimmery. And they're not perfect for layering. Shimmers rarely are, and these are no exception. But otherwise they're very pretty, and I imagine they would work beautifully with calligraphy. Epidote Greenish is another mineral paint that doesn't like layering too much, but apart from that it's a pretty subtle shade. Mint is surprisingly intense, very easy to activate, it's a very nice paint, very smooth. And quinoftalone orange, I imagine, will create some very interesting mixes. I hope I'll be able to show that to you next week. Lapis lazuli is very pretty, well pigmented, moves well, and it creates very nice textures. It's pretty good for layering as well. And I need to draw your attention to malachite here, because this is not what it really looks like in real life. I talked to Katie about it. The malachite I got was not a half pan, it was a dot sample, And I suspect, and Katie also confirmed it, and this is what she thinks, that the sample was not large enough to activate properly. So the pigment couldn't be activated properly, and that's why the malachite looks so light. Normally it's much darker and much more intense. I think you're going to get a better idea of it if you look at Katie's website, at her shop. She's got swatches there, and the color in her photo is going to be much closer to reality than what you can see here. And from what I've seen, the photographs on Katie's website represent the colors pretty well, and they are quite close to what the colors really look like when you use them. So I think they're a pretty reliable source of information as to what the colors really look like. So yeah, to see what malachite looks like, go check Katie's website. It's pretty, but I can't prove that. And on page 2, none of the colors rub off, and the only ones that could affect the neighboring page in your sketchbook are red ochre, quinaftalone orange, dark red ochre, Persia and Pandora. And here we are on page 3. There are some of my favorites on this page. Pyrite is absolutely crazy. It's not shimmery at all, so that's unusual. The separation into yellow and grey is insane. And the funny thing is, it only becomes visible after a while, so you're not going to see it immediately. Purple iron oxide shows the separation typical of iron oxides. It's pretty textured. And Vivianite. Now, I seriously love this one. It's got a sort of a yellowish undertone. It's textured, a sort of a bluish grey ochre colour. Imagine all the weird, fantastical creatures you could paint with it, or the skies, or the rocks, or you could just use it for shadows. So pretty. And the last colour on this page, Plum, is a shimmer. All of the colours on this page layer beautifully. Indigo genuine and quinacridone red gold might transfer, and purple iron oxide as well if you layer it thickly. Thinner layers should be alright. Oh, and one more thing I didn't say before, but it's worth mentioning. These paints re-wet like a dream. I've never seen gemstone and mineral and semi-precious stone watercolors re-wet so easily. These activate super quickly for gemstone paints. And for the last page, we're left with Ultramarine Pink Dark and Ultramarine Violet. These are two nice granulating ultramarines, and they do layer nicely, but it seems that Ultramarine Violet needs a little bit more time to dry than Ultramarine Pink Dark, and I did not wait enough. So the layering test did not come out well, but my impatience is to blame here. Sorry about that. So overall, watercolors from Kwarts Creations are high quality pigmented paints with good binder and a lot of unusual colors. You'll find lots of unique stuff here, a lot of gemstone and mineral paints, so if there's something you're interested in, you definitely need to check out Katie's shop. And yeah, the paints are great, the packaging is very beautiful, and Katie is a lovely, accommodating person, so check out her paints. This is everything I've got for you today. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If so, press the like button, leave a small comment down below. If you have some experience with paints from Kwarts Creations yourself, please share with us. Don't forget to visit Hungry for Paint on Instagram on Wednesday for a sneak peek of the next video. There will be a text review of Kwarts Creations watercolors on Hungry for Paint blog, and if you want to help Hungry for Paint grow, consider making a small donation on Ko-fi. I'll see you next week. Have a lovely Friday. Bye bye.